Hey YouTube, it's me, Jobda, back in again with another video. So, last year I wrapped up discussing all the random thoughts and stuff that I had. So, I figured I must as well do that again. That's really all I need to say, so let's just get into this. An immortal person who eventually roams the coastline of every single continent. Continually, because they're immortal, they won't have nothing else better to do. A day that is noted because nothing happened to anyone. The day was not skipped, just nothing happened. No birthdays, no weddings, no anniversaries, nothing. A group of characters that each represent different part of the brain, either for like a party, like a fantasy game, or just a group of friends. A lazy soldier that only does what is directly ordered. They will not do anything else. A large space station that utilizes a star as a lighthouse. An out there fighting game where you have to knock each other into their health bar to do damage, which will also move the health bar around and shrink it, making it harder as the fight goes on. The power to make people not perceive specific objects. The size space paradox, so the more you get close to an item, smaller you get, so you're still the same distance away. Except for time, so the closer you get to a certain time, the younger you become. A villain that does immense evil just to return home and be a normal house husband. They're a supportive guy, they just happen to also be a villain. A horror world, and their version of a haunted mansion is just full of cute animals. A character with trick room powers, but for any sort of attribute. You know what I mean? Trick room is a move in Pokemon where all speed is reversed. So think that sort of deal, but for, say, strength. An otherwise really happy couple that absolutely hate each other on Valentine's Day. A super secret ending in a game you get by flipping and catching a coin in the air non-stop from the start of the game to the end. I think if this was real, people would just task it, because that sounds fucking difficult. Although some would actually be up for the challenge now I think about it. A character that can teleport anything, including themselves, anywhere. But they only do it in emergency because they just like to travel normally. The Cordyceptor, a mushroom scepter, that I just thought of a cool name for. A character who can split and reform themselves, but with their final sacrificial technique, where they split all of their atoms at once. A shapeshifter who only uses their power for fashion and beauty. This one's very short. Beneficial Ben Official. If there's a really cool guy out there called Ben, that one's for free. A creature in a Pokemon like, based on the letter A, with 25 subsequent evolutions that all scale in power. 3 ultra powerful beings born from emotions. We got typical all good, all bad, and all neutral, which I feel is worthy to be included amongst that. An underground train station that connects through every single major city on Earth. A future self that only tells their current self information that will upset them, regardless if it's true or not. They are just an asshole. A clone army that parodies like pellet swap OCs. A world where money does grow on trees, but since that made money worthless, the new currency is normal tree things. A place that has twice the days, but only because they consider AM and PM 2 separate days. A character with the powers of glitching. Anything that can happen with a glitch. A game that is one giant fetch quest if you never say no to a new quest. If you say no, a few times at least, to the very first quest, the game just ends. A reversal of Dragon Hoarding Gold, where it's a colony of gold-based creatures that use the corpse of a dragon to deter people from their civilization. A villain that goes on the hero's journey to become the greatest villain in the land. A busted ability that is passive reality manipulation, distorts in order to protect the user. The user does not control this ability and is actively terrified from it. A Dead by Daylight game about cryptids. The single player is a cryptid that wants to stay hidden while also filling out certain tasks, and the other players are trying to gather evidence of the cryptid. I love cryptids, if you can't tell. A mysterious phone that does not stop ringing. people cover their ears around it. The ring grows louder in order to continue being heard. Attempts to destroy the phone will have a spike in volume and frequency to rupture eardrums. If someone answers the phone, they drop an emotion, their face goes blank, and they drop to the floor, to which the phone starts ringing again. SCP, that one. Skyscrapers that are just the longest word possible. An animated character with the power to change the frames per second. So it's sort of like time control, but more meta. A subscribe. Something you should do right now, but also a submissive scribe that writes down anything that their master / mistress wants them to. A classic sword slice the bullet in two sort of scene, except the bullet completely shatters the sword. A teleporter that is actually a time traveler. They just set the destination and put the time as the current time. A sort of play place where characters can buy limited Toon Force. If you don't know Toon Force, where they can do anything as long as it's funny. A really nice neighbor, so that they can be invited into a house alongside their friend or significant other, who happens to be a vampire. The neighbor is not, but their friend is, and they are just providing for them. A typical modern horror game that has no lore or meaning behind any of it. There is one secret that is purposely a literal wild goose chase. Trigger warning for this next segment. It relates to the practice of ending one's own existence, to say the least. If you don't want to hear anything relating to that, skip ahead about 20 seconds. Drawing of a realistic game of Hangman, where there are fill in the blanks at the bottom. The point being that you need to fill in your own blank. What would cause you to do this? I don't know where that came from. I know it came from me, but I don't know when I thought of that. A place where all crime is legal, but people live just fine. Why make anyone mad if anyone can rob or kill you? An NPC that asks to borrow power in return for their affection and a reward much later. If you accept, they take one level from you. If you do this until they are max level, they will join you as an ultra powerful support, double your XP game, gives an after credit end sequence, and a bonus item in a hypothetical New Game Plus. A fiction writer who has the powers of the characters in their books, but chooses to only write about how they would use them. Sleeping and your eyelid display the dream and info about it. This is probably one of my favorite ideas on here, but it is very difficult. A movie about one man fighting every person on Earth that costs every single person on Earth, minus children, criminals, and other bad people. A character that can see anything that the camera can. 3 rival factions. Rock, paper, and scissors. A clown that dies in a coffin, and when they get resurrected, 20 zombie clowns pop out. The human embodiment of chaos and randomness. Randy Dominic. You can see what I did there. The ability to get any amount of anything as long as they use the letters in your name. So, my name is Jordan. So I can get an unlimited amount of, say, jars. But this does not apply to abbreviations or to other names. I can't get an infinite amount of Johns. A shape-shifting insane lover that is playing the role of every person in one man's life to ensure that they only love them. A Willy Wonka survival mascot horror. So it's basically Willy Wonka Security Breach. The basic enemies are Oompa Loompas, and the major characters are the other kids. Mike TV is stretched out to skeletal proportions. Violet is still blue and can twist into any crevice. Veruca resembles an actual feral squirrel or goose, I don't remember which one is the original, and Augustus is now just a chocolate. And then, of course, there's Willy Wonka himself. He's like the Afton, you know? A Ben 10 side-scroller where you pick an alien each level to beat it as, where all of them can do it, some just easier than others. At selection, there's a 10% chance of getting something completely random, which only increases if you keep using the same alien over and over. A cure-all that just warps the mind into believing their body is cured. An energy drink called Hydrate, with an 8-headed Hydra as a logo. A show about TikTok people working at a hospital. Emergency. It's fine, I'll end it now. A single universe in a multiverse story that is incapable of being invaded or destroyed in any way. Everyone within it knows about the multiverse, but knows that they are safe, and this cannot change. Scooby-Doo Dead by Daylight. A game where your only way to defeat enemies is to trick other enemies to attack them. A character licks their blade, except this ends up cutting the blade. Someone that harnesses the power of their calamitous bad luck. And I have no mouth and I must scream. D&D game. The DM is M, and the 5 players are his victims. A speedrunner gets isekai'd into a game, knows all the exploits, but those exploits horribly affect the world that they live in. So it's both, they want to get out of here quickly, but don't want to destroy the lives of the people in this world. An anti-piracy thing, where every 5 minutes, if you pirate a game, they get a YouTube-style unskippable ad, which promotes the actual game, and promotes being able to buy it. A Ben 10 series about an alternate universe character gunning for like a young Max that gets sent a blank Omnitrix by mistake, and then must use the plumber skills to get DNA from different aliens. Lyrics about staying in my comfort zone. Now, I am in no way a singer, so I apologize for the next few seconds. My world is a snow globe, I'm not shaking up. It won't fall, it won't break, and it won't open up. It's small, but it's nice, it's strange, but it's mine. And as long as I'm here, I'm doing just fine. Yeah, that. Sorry. A fighting game where spamming moves will result in a background character or hitting you with a hit that stuns you. A video game of stop hitting yourself, where you are a spellcaster that constantly casts spells that backfire and turn around and hit you. The longer you go, the more spells are added, and the stronger the spells get. Essentially, a bullet hell against yourself. Tarantula, a giant spider that merges and emerges into the ground. A cultivation, a gothic nature sim. A Mexican Yu-Gi-Oh parody, Amigo. Jesus Christ. The Superman backstory, but to every continent. A mission in a game where you and your rival race to save a puppy. If you succeed, the puppy becomes an NPC and grows throughout the game. But if your rival succeeds, in the final battle, you get ambushed by a full-grown dog. A dystopia, where you can have any life you want for daily or monthly subscription. You know how like people would like, if you could go back in time, would you kill baby Hitler? Well, someone goes back in time in order to kill baby Hitler, only to see a stroller and a pile of other time travelers underneath their feet dead. Baby Hitler got hands. Intentionally old school action movie about a professional baseballer that uses their pitching arm to kill people with grenades during a war. The power of body swap, but specific limbs. Someone with all the powers of Jesus, but uses them for evil. A rogue druid for like a D&D game that pretends to be a scarecrow and also has control over crows. Hell being just real life, but minor inconveniences are dialed up to 11, and major inconveniences are dialed up to a 22. A comedy movie about an improv actor that is now an undercover cop. An immortal being that experiences every media that's ever existed, except for one, purely out of spite. A villain with the power to control senses to outrageous degrees. I even wrote a small monologue here that, if you don't mind me, I'm just going to do real quick. You believe we are alone, is that correct? What if I were to tell you that your allies are nearby, but you cannot see them? that they are screaming in pain, but you cannot hear them. You can't smell their rotting flesh or feel when they reach out to you. You are only alone to yourself. An Australian character called Ozzy, that in distress goes, "Oi, oi, oi." Yeah, some of these are good concepts, some of these are fucking stupid. A character with extreme luck, Aaron G. A beverage-based character called Dr. Ink. A movie set in the early 1900s that purposely goes against every single thing in the Hays Code. Someone who does the exact same thing every day to suck accuracy that if it rains 2 days in a row, the drops will land the same way. A future where companies use holograms to monetize the sky. And those are all the random thoughts I've had this year. If you liked it, be sure to leave a like, because I'll definitely do this again next year, where I'll have even more random shit. And assuming I release this video on time, at least for me, have a happy 2025. This has been Jobda. Catches.